So once again, good morning. Thank you for joining for another session of Azure Power Lunch. As you know that this call is being recorded and we place our recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you're not comfortable with it, you may want to drop off now. And this call is joined by our Microsoft team members as well as our customers and our partners. So with that, let's quickly get this show on the road. So today's topic is Web PubSub IO support for Web PubSub support for Socket.io. Okay, which is in public preview. And here is a quick agenda. So just like we always do, we're going to spend a few minutes on what is Socket.io, and then what is meant by Web PubSub support for Socket.io, what it brings to the table, and of course we will have demo and the usual stuff, so and Q&A. So please feel free to ask questions. Open up your mic and ask questions. So what is Socket.io? Socket.io is a open source library that allows you to have bidirectional communication between, think of it, a client and a server. It's an event based, it's low latency, all that. Very popular um, for building these type of application like chat, like application where you need to have kind of a real-time communication, like you know code streaming, things like that. So that's very popular. Okay, and the great thing about this library is that, for example, let's say that you have a client and a server. Based on their capabilities, it will pick up either long polling, the appropriate protocol like long polling, or WebSocket, web transport, or whatever. So whatever protocol is there, it will pick that protocol up and use it. Okay. So what is HTTP long polling? It's basically allows you to keep a server, keep the client connection alive till the data is available. Once the data is available, it sends back, and then client will open another connection. Okay. So that's the long polling, and that's the classic, more of a classic protocol that is out there. Then you have the WebSocket, which is a very popular protocol. It allows you, duplex communication. So same socket, you can send request and response. Okay, and then comes the Web Transport, which relies on HTTP3. It's a more modern protocol. It allows multiplexing, so you can have data as well as images on the same uh, pipe. But in any case, I mean, this discussion is not about these protocols. What I just want to say is that uh, basically Socket.io will decide uh, based on the capabilities of client and server what protocol they can support, and it will use that protocol for this type of uh, communication, like bidirectional, low latency, event-based communication. Okay, so that's the advantage of Socket.io, and it's open source. I mean, you can go to the site and link. Okay, so if the communication is between just uh, a server and a client, a single server, single client, no big deal. I mean, they're communicating, that's fine. But normally that's not the case. For enterprise application or scenarios, let's say that you have a chat application. Okay, in that case, you may possibly have hundreds of um, servers and thousands of clients, things like that. Like chat servers in tens or hundreds, and then you have thousands of people who are communicating through those chat servers. Okay, so what happens in that scenario? How you maintain state? I mean, how you make sure that let's say that a consumer one connect to server one, but then the next time it connects to server two. How does that work? So this is the architecture that you have to do with the Socket.io library. You have to put a load balancer in front of your server to appropriately send the request and load balance across different Socket.io server. And then you have to have an adapter. It's a concept of an adapter which kind of syncs the state between all of these servers. And that adapter, Socket.io comes with a built-in Azure Cache adapter. Okay, so that you can take advantage of, you can use it. But once again, think of it that, excuse me, that you are now maintaining infrastructure. You have to looking at caring, feeding of the infrastructure where you should be paying attention to your application. So that's where Azure Web PubSub support for Socket IO comes into picture. Okay, just like most of the managed offering that we have, and I'm just going to take a step back. Look at the managed offering, manage Redis, the Redis cache offering that we have, manage Kubernetes, AKS. Same thing here with the managed Socket IO kind of offering that we have. What we are doing is we are kind of providing a way to eliminate the caring feeding of the infrastructure. Like you don't have to worry about any adapter, and you get all the goodness that comes with Azure, like monitoring, like SLA support, all of that. That is now become available as a part of the Azure infrastructure. Once you have that service running on, once you take the managed offering running on Azure. So what's happening here? So you have the web PubSub for Socket IO that's sitting in the middle, and it's kind of between the servers and the client. The clients are communicating with the server without knowing how many server they are running and which server they are hitting, and server are responding back without worrying about which client, and there is no need to have any of the adapter or anything, any infrastructure, because Socket IO is taking care of it behind the scene. Okay, so that's the value prop of Socket IO, a web PubSub for Socket IO. So that's what Azure is taking care of behind the scene. So with that, any questions? Okay, so let's move on. So here is kind of a quick overview of some of the benefits. As I said, whenever we have the managed offering, whenever there is an Azure managed offering, it has the goodness of Azure baked into it. Like what I meant is like monitoring, SLA support. As you can see here, you have the ability to scale, you know, uh, and you don't have to worry about hosting and managing that and all that. All of that deployment is all just a point and click, and you can deploy that stuff in Azure. Got it? Next thing is SLA. This is the key thing. If you're running your own infrastructure, then you are responsible for the SLA. In that case, if you are running in Azure, like using the web PubSub for Socket IO, then in that case, you have the SLA guarantee of 99.9%. And one other thing with the scaling connection, with a single um, um, the single scale unit can support up to 100,000 or 100,000 client connection. You know, that's so you can get an idea like how many you need, and then you can scale up your infrastructure if scale out your infrastructure is needed. And once again, all the monitoring and support is there for you. And of course, if there is an issue, you can open a support ticket, things like that. So that's some of the key benefits. And here are some of the SKUs that you can use. If you are just playing around with it, then you can take advantage of course, the free SKU. You can have 20 connections, and that's the SKU I'm going to be demoing. And then you have 20,000 units per day. So this is just to evaluate if you just want to play around with it. Okay. And then you have the standard and premium SKU. Just keep in mind, both of these SKU, one of the key thing they support, apart from other things like scaling and all that, is private connectivity. Okay, so the premium support auto scaling and availability zone support, which is a custom domain name, and it also supports yeah, sorry, the premium one also support private endpoint connections. Okay, so what that means is you don't have to connect it over a public endpoint. You can connect it through a private endpoint. So let's say it's an enterprise application that you're building that's gonna be running in your own infrastructure. You can have your cake and eat it too by creating a web sub PubSub for Socket.io, run in Azure, create private endpoints, and that's how you connect to it. Okay. Okay. One more time. Any questions before we jump into the demo? Okay, so let's go. And first of all, what we're going to see is we're going to see a creation experience. Okay, so I'm going to go into my resource group. Hopefully, everybody can see my screen. I think font size is good. So let's create a web PubSub for Socket.io. So let's wait. You know, whenever there is a demo, it's for some reason portal starts to come a little bit slow. Web PubSub. Yes, so here it is, Web PubSub for Socket.io. And let's create. I just want to show you the creation experience. How does it look like? So pretty boilerplate stuff. You have the, um, you know, resource group subscription. You have to give it a name. We can call it one. You have to pick a region. So these are region where it is available. And then 1,000 connection premium, 2,000 messages per day included estimated. So this is basically the cost, and you can scale up to 100,000 connections and all that. So this is, as I said, scaling up uh, kind of will help you do that. And once let's pick that, let's move on to the next one. It allows you to do create private endpoints. So as I said, some enterprises, they may be using it all for their internal application, for their internal scenarios. They don't want to go over the public internet. They have security, privacy, regulation, or something like that. They can take advantage of the private endpoint. You can create a private endpoint and connect it over a private endpoint without going over through the public IP. Okay. Got it? And that's that. So that's the two things, and then of course tags, and then you create it. So I'm not gonna create it. I already have one that is running, so I'm going to show it to you. So this is the one I'm running, which is a free version. And yeah, this is a free version. This is and if you can see here, the scaling is available manually. And since it's a free version, there is no scale up. Okay, scale out. So basically, I have to go to a different version and go do that. Scale up, I have to change the pricing tier. I have to go from the free to a next version. And of course, um, it supports managed identity as well and all that. So basically, that's all you have to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a very simple um, chat app, basically client and a server, and we will see some of the components. And go, folks, it is in Node.js. So please, I mean, this is basically kind of a boilerplate or pseudocode. I just want to show it to you just for clarification, and then we will look at some of the other examples that we have. Okay, so here we go. So I'm gonna go into here. This is, hopefully everybody can see my screen. This is Node.js. So this is the server. What I'm doing is, and by the way, this example is directly from the quick start. So if you want to follow it up, please look at the quick start. And this is the example that you see. This is one of the example that you see here. So um, I'm going to be passing the connection string in the arguments. So as you can see here, it's getting the arguments, it's getting connection string, and then from that, it is creating the socket, and then just some socket messaging, and the rest of the stuff is being logging. So it's gonna print whatever comes up. Once the client comes up, it's gonna write that message there. Okay, that's that. Then you have the client. In the case of the client, it's once again very simple. It's the um, connection where I mean, it's the connect where it's going to be connecting to path, all that. That's all there is to it. So it's connect, send a message, and that's it. There is not much activity in this particular chat application. So let's run it and let's see how it works. So let me um, open, and actually let's do it here. I'm gonna open two terminals. So this is the first one. Let it come up, and let's add another terminal, and this is gonna be the second one. So there are two terminals that I have open up. Let's take a look. And for the first terminal, I'm going to start the server. Here is the server. So the server has started. It will take a second. Okay. And now let's run the client. So I'm going to go in here on the second one and start the client. And here we go. So here it prints world, and if we go back to the previous terminal, it prints string. So I mean, it's a very simple example. Message exchange, nothing, no rocket science into it. It's just showing the library. So basically, you are now exchanging message through the library. And one interesting thing I want to show it to you, if we go back to the previous screen, the portal, it allows you to troubleshoot that things as well. So there is a live trace, a tool available, which allows you. So if you have hundreds of clients and there are a lot of messages going on, you want to troubleshoot this tool, and it will populate these messages in a second. This tool will show you how many messages are different. So you see that post message, you just uh, kind of see that a message was sent. Okay. And if you do it multiple times, so let's say that we open a new tab here in this VS Code and add another client. And let's do this. Let's open another tab, and okay, another tab comes in, and I'm going to paste this. Okay, and let's go into that, and you will see some information pop up here as well. So you see all of that. So basically, it's getting all of that information, request process information, send message to the client, receive message from the client. So point is, you can filter based on that and see if there are any issues going on, or you need to do any troubleshooting. So all of that will help you. And by the way, these are the hubs, so you can use different names. So if there are different hubs that you are using, you can keep track of them and you can filter them, all of that. So all of this capability is a part of this live trace tool that is available. Okay. Any questions? And at the same time, if we go back to this, Web PubSub IO, and we go to the top screen in the monitoring, it will show you how many connections you have. Like two connections, now we have four connections. And what is the outbound traffic, how many bytes in and out. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, this is the advantage of a managed offering. You have the goodness that Azure provides, like SLA monitoring, and private connectivity, all of that, and ability to kind of encapsulate infrastructure, hide infrastructure that you don't have to worry about, all of that, and simplifying the kind of a setup and maintenance of the service that you are using. That's what Azure is providing in that case. Okay, so let's see on a little bit of a slightly different example. Once again, that is available on the SDK as well. And that example is basically a code streaming service. So first of all, let me go into VS Code and close this. So I'm going to close the servers and the clients. Okay. And then I'm going to, yeah, so this is a simple code streaming service and very interesting example. And I will explain it to you once we run it. Okay. So let's open this. Okay. So this is a, think of it as a writer. Okay. And what you can do is you can open up readers. So basically, think of it that one person is typing, another person is watching the code. So let's open a couple of windows. This one, and let's open another one, this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them to separate nodes, separate windows, so we can see them easily. Come on. And this one as well. Okay. So, uh, Hey guys, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Oh, sorry. By the way, were you able to hear me before, or was I on mute? I think it's somehow I got
We didn't
muted.
hear you before.
You didn't?
No, like 2 minutes ago.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I hope. So basically what I was saying is, if there are any questions, please free to open up your mic, or otherwise I will give everybody their 4 minutes back and hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. Thank you very much. Thank you.